What's poppin', guys? Welcome back to Sam Talk Sports. Let's talk about why KSI must win both of his fights to set up a potential mega fight with Jake Paul. So as you guys can see from this article by Talk Sport, KSI returned to boxing after almost 2 years because he wants to face off against Jake Paul in the future. That's the main goal. That's the only reason I came back. And as you can see right here, KSI kind of explained how he didn't really think that Askren or Woodley were great opponents, and because Jake Paul knocked him out in spectacular fashion, people were like, wow, Jake Paul is such a great boxer. And KSI is out here trying to prove him wrong and trying to, show that maybe Jake Paul isn't as good as everyone thinks that he is. And we also have to consider the fact that when KSI fought against Logan Paul, I felt like the majority of people felt like Logan Paul was going to win. He seemed stronger, he had the better physique, he was taller and all that. And as you can see right here, KSI kind of said that he wasn't really that prepared for the Logan Paul fight, yet he was able to still win because of the dog in him without that much technique. So I think in this fight against Swarms and also Luis Pineda, so both of these fights, I feel like KSI really wants to show his growth in boxing. 3 years, will he have more technique, more footwork, more head movement? And so far in his training we have already seen that. And as you can see right here, August 27th, you'll see a different KSI, which I truly believe. But all of this hinges on KSI beating both of his opponents. If KSI loses to one of his opponents, then I don't think the KSI versus Jake Paul fight will ever happen, because it just loses its shine, its suspense. And I really respect KSI right here by saying that as of today in boxing, he does believe that Jake Paul is better, which I think is reasonable because he haven't really fought in the past few years yet. Jake Paul hasn't been super active, and I think these warm-up fights will really benefit KSI, but he needs to win them. If we look at the KSI versus Logan Paul fight, especially the boxing stats, it was quite an even matchup between Logan Paul and Olatunji JJ over the 6 rounds. Paul outlanded JJ by 5 punches, but JJ had 15 more power punches. So even against Logan Paul, an opponent that is quite formidable, I mean, if you look at this, Logan Paul literally boxed Floyd Mayweather and he held his own. Maybe Mayweather was going a little bit easy on him, but the reality of the situation is that Logan Paul has shown his boxing capabilities, yet KSI was able to outbox him, maybe with unconventional techniques, but at the end of the day he won. And so for Jake Paul and KSI, we have seen their back and forth, their conversations, they kind of like trash talk one another. And Jake Paul right now is undefeated, 5 wins, 0 losses. He has KO'd every single opponent that he has faced. So for KSI, I feel like if he comes out with a good performance, maybe a knockout of Swarms, and showing that he can hang with a professional boxer in Luis Pineda and maybe win by unanimous decision, then I think there will be more excitement being built up between the KSI and Jake Paul fight. And like we know, they have already said that 2023 at Wembley Stadium. If we do a quick Google search, KSI Jake Paul Wembley, we see right here Jake Paul has agreed to fight KSI at Wembley Stadium in 2023, and the winner takes 100% of the money. Obviously with boxing, we already know the boxing business is never really as accurate as the headlines say. So as long as KSI is able to win these next 2 fights, he will be able to kind of establish his boxing reputation, and he won't really be the B-side when negotiating with Jake Paul. I think it will be a quite even split between Jake Paul and KSI if KSI is able to win these 2 matches in one night, which is very unconventional but creative. Shout out to KSI for thinking of the solution to make this event that much more exciting. So at the end of the day, KSI needs to win these 2 fights, and I believe that he will. And once he wins the next 2 fights, oh boy, I mean, the KSI Jake Paul drama is going to reach another level, and I do feel like they will eventually face off. should KSI win tomorrow and win in solid fashion. That's my thoughts on the KSI versus Jake Paul situation. Let me know if you guys think they will eventually face off. And that's about it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to live a spicy life. Peace.